St. Patrick's Day is just around the corner, and lucky for you, we here at Anvil are allowing you to customise your orders with green thread on some of our hand-sewn wallets from March 15th to March 17th, so you can avoid all those wee pinchers. Get that out of here. I'm Irish. I'm always wearing green.
This is a heavy Thursday unboxing because I got 4 boots, 5 boxes, and there's something that Thursday sent me that really shocked me. I was really surprised that Thursday was willing to let a couple of those things leave the factory, to be honest. So put that one aside for after we unbox the rest of these. Because what are these? Well, you probably already know from the thumbnail, but these are the Thursday Captains, but the collaboration Captains, to make them as premium as humanly possible. You know, this is me and Nolan, the owner of Thursday, our attempt to make a boot so undeniable that nobody has any room to complain, that nobody can beat it, that there's no boot on earth that could even get close to matching this in terms of undeniable quality, undeniable affordability, undeniable durability for the price. Because these, yeah. Because I haven't seen the final pair yet, but we cut apart the second to final pair, and holy shit. You guys are, wait till you see what's on the inside. You guys are like, how? How did you do this at this price? Well, part of the reason is Thursday. Thursday's a big enough company that when they want to do something right, they have the ability to do it, maybe not right, but do it to the ultimate degree. They have that ability. And they have the ability to do it at a scale that not only you can get as an everyday consumer, but at a price that you can get as an everyday consumer, which has got me so excited because, I obviously am at a unique position with the footwear world where I have a lot of access to a lot of really expensive footwear, and I have like a lot of whatever I would want to wear at my disposal. But that's only been like the last couple of years, and like really like the last year and a half that I could actually afford to get some of the stuff I wanted. And so I'm very familiar with how big of a pain in the butt it is to get a heritage style boot that's an affordable boot, that you're willing to gamble on that whole handmade boot sizing lottery. Because, like I experienced it with Wesco. I was like, I did their sizing, and they shipped me like 2 different sizes, neither of them got close, and it just was a complete disaster. I waited like 18 months for those boots. It was like $1,000, and I didn't even get to wear them, so we cut them apart of the channel. Also, there's a nail poking up through the heel. We'll revisit Wesco at some point, because I thought that was going to be a shining example of like what they were capable of, but it was like, yeah, it's far from impressive. There's a whole story to that too that I'd love to tell one day. You guys would get a kick out of this story of that video. But it's a little bit of inside baseball that I'll wait a little bit to tell the story. But to the point I'm trying to make is that's why it's so hard for people to get into this footwear world of like the high-end heritage quality goods. But at the same time, if you buy a $150 boot, like a work boot, you're going to get a lot of synthetics. You're not going to get the same look. You're not going to get the same feel. You're not going to get all the value of all that leather packed into the boot that slowly shapes to the shape of your foot over time, hugging your foot firmly without being so loose that your foot's slipping all over the place. And up until now, you couldn't get anything close to that, anywhere close to this price range. And I think we pulled it off. I haven't seen the final pairs yet. Some of the guys at the shop have, because they had to start shooting some footage with them and like do some like, yeah, so they're a little bit worn, but I haven't seen them yet. These drop March 20th. Early access gets it a day before everyone else. So make sure on that limited edition email list, we've kind of changed the way we do things. So now it's like you're signing up for that email list through the individual collaboration. So I can go to Thursday and be like, hey, like 5,000 people signed up for this. Like, people want these boots. And then we can kind of, usually that's to like convince the brand to do it, but it also gives me and the brand good information to make sure that the site doesn't crash, make sure we have enough of like the site's bandwidth and enough quantity in stock and all that kind of stuff. So if you want a pair of these and you want to be first in line, get on that email list below so you get early access. I think this is going to be such a game-changing boot, and it's going to make such an impact, and it's going to be so undeniable that people are going to flock to this. And I think it's going to, like, if you had to buy the day it launched, I think it would be a bit of a headache, because it's going to all of Thursday's customers, it's going to all of our audience, and you only get early access if you're on that list. And so you can guarantee a pair as much as you can guarantee a pair. and you guarantee you're way at the front of the line compared to the rest of the world. So I think I've rambled on enough. Obviously I'm excited about this because I once you see it, you'll understand actually. What would it look like to make like the ultimate Thursday regardless of the price? Adjust every single possible complaint point about their products to make like what Thursday is capable of making regardless of the price. You know, because they've got the Challenger, bigger heel. This was like an attempt at a Pacific Northwest style boot. And it looks very much Pacific Northwest, got big old logger heel on it. And then you've got, I haven't even seen these, the Journeyman. It's like a Chelsea boot, looks like a going after, R.M. Williams. Maybe after this video, I'll do a comparison of R.M. Williams versus this because those R.M. Williams are trash. R.M. Williams, y'all ought to be embarrassed of that. It is one of the worst boots I've ever seen for 600 bucks. The Brawler. This was another one that I saw recently, and when this released, I watched Beto's leatherworking review of it because he does really good reviews because he's a cobbler, and so he like repairs shoes, he like adjusts, he like will like make customizations to boots, and so he got a pair of these and tore through them as a cobbler does rather than a cross section cut, and the inside's crazy. First of all, it's still different than what we have in these. But one of his complaints was that they're really slopey and that like your foot slides to the end and like the toe spring, you know, he had a couple complaints. And so we'll go over that even in this video, like how this boot is different. Because I just want to address that because people are like already in the first teaser, like, oh yeah, it probably has that last that Beto says it's like too slopey, you know, because that's the whole point of this is like we're trying to make it so undeniable that there's no room for complaint. But at the same time, taking complaint on the chin and saying like, oh, I didn't think about that. That's a good point. Or like, oh, I didn't even notice that. Like maybe we should adjust this. Or like, okay, we ran these for a year and like this failed in this way. Like we need to change that. Because that's the whole process with this. We're not trying to make a perfect undeniable boot to where nobody can complain. There's gonna be some issues. There's gonna be a couple flaws. There's gonna be some adjustments we have to make. And so it's a fun challenge to say like, prove us wrong. Prove that there's a better boot out there for the price. Prove us that I think there's nothing wrong with this boot. I think it's perfect. Prove me wrong. And if people prove us wrong, then we just make it even better. And we take that insight, we take that advice, or the critiques, and we say, is that actually something we want to do? Is that something we'll actually improve the boot based on the concept? And so rip it apart. That's what we're trying to do. Like it's half the fun of this collaboration is like, all right, guys, have at it. Rip us apart. Let's see what you got, because I think me and Nolan have made something pretty undeniable. So I think it's time to do the unboxing, because I also brought with me some of this so that you can see how Thursdays are regularly constructed before, so you don't have to go watch another video. I'll still put links to these cut in halves of the captains below, but you can see it's got that leather sock liner, latex foam underneath, that pour-on style foam underneath that, the fiber board, which is what you see in this price point to get it down to that price point, and also to maintain the flexibility and the easy break-in and a little bit more squish underneath the foot, but it's not as durable as the material as leather. I think it has a steel shank. Yeah, you can see the steel shank there. Leather midsole, rubber outsole, leather heel stack, flesh out heel counter. They use that thermal molding counter material. You know, there's various forms of this. There's stuff like that looks like this that's kind of speckly, that's just really fragile. You can just break it into like 1,000 pieces. This is the type that molds to your foot as you wear it. As your foot heats up the boots, it kind of molds to your foot. And all those synthetics are the pain point that people point out about this boot. And so I think in the main video, when we do the release, we'll just go layer by layer and be like, this is this component, this is why Thursday uses it, this is why people complain, and this is why we decided to go with this material. And I also wanted to bring it a whole boot so that we can compare the shapes. Thursday is known for making more dress-inspired footwear. So their lasts are really long and pointy. You know, this is like, you compare this to, what do I have to compare it to? This is the best comparison I've got. You compare it to these Danners, or you compare it to this military Munson last. You can see it's very pointy. It's a very dress style boot. I am not a dressy guy. You know, I don't wear dress clothes. On a rare occasion, going to like a symphony, going to fancy dinner or something, I'll wear dressier stuff. But for the most part, I'm a pretty casual workwear, Western wear, stuff like that. And so with the Western wear thing, I'm like, well, I kind of like the pointy toe, but for everyday wear, I don't like the pointier toe. It has a certain look. It's just not my everyday look. I don't like how it's a little bit more narrow in the forefoot because it is more dress inspired. So it's a pretty narrow last. And so Nolan and I literally sat down and went material by material, aspect by aspect, feature by feature, and diagnosed every possible thing that people could complain about, but more importantly, what we wanted to do. And so we rolled some of that into this as well. So let's unbox it finally, yeah? I'm just excited about it. It's fun. It's like, this is for sure the biggest collaboration we've ever done. Okay, first look at the final pairs of the Thursday Captain collaboration. Because like the other thing is like, how sick is it that Thursday's like, hey, this is our flagship product. This is the one boot that built the brand, and we want your help making it cooler and better and undeniable. Like, it's pretty sick. So I feel very honored. Oh, perfect. Look at it. So one of the changes we made from the last unboxing is there's 5 eyelets instead of 6, because that panel with 6 eyelets snuck a little bit further down here, and it made the front end of the boot a little bit heavier. It squashed into the toe cap area a little bit more. We play with different heel heights. This is the heel height we ended up going with. But the thing that I really, really like about this, that I'm glad Nolan was willing to do, is look at the heel profile. See that? That is like a little Western heel. You know, because their usual heels are little block heels, and they look good. You know, I like a block heel, especially the lower heel. But anytime you're getting any semblance of a heel, I like to have that little Western like heel profile, because it does a couple things. It makes it easier to walk and wear because you're not hitting the ground way out here, and so when you step, you're kind of missing that apex of the block heel. That's what makes it easier to wear. They wear a little bit better because you're not wearing through that same spot there. But they look more Western, and like that's something that I think really made this boot click for me, because look at the top-down view of the 2 different toes. See how much more pointy this one is? See how much more rounded and more bulbous this is? And so there's a couple of reasons that we were doing this. One is to give you just a little bit more toe room. You know, we want it to be more, just a little bit of that heritagey, like toe bump kind of bulbous look, without looking like an Iron Ranger that really has a toe bump. And I also didn't want quite as much of a point. I still like that tapered look, especially because we widened it in the forefoot. You can get away with a little bit more of a point, but this is a little too pointed for me. You know, but I still want to maintain some of that point for 2 reasons. One, it's the Thursday look. I didn't want to like make this not look like a Thursday. I wanted it to look like that Thursday profile and look and aesthetic, but I also wanted to look truly heritage. I wanted the last to look like it's a heritage inspired last rather than like a more dress inspired last. And so that's why we raised the toe just a little bit in height. That's why we did the little bit wider in the forefoot. That's why we brought that point in a little bit more, because with that little bit of a point, it's still, rather than looking more dress to me, it's a little bit more dress and a little bit more Western, because you accent that with that heel profile. All of a sudden you've got like, oh, this is like a very unique boot, because you've got the Red Wings, true heritage. You've got the Thursdays that are your true like dress boots, or like rugged dress boots. You've got true dress boots. You've got true work boots, like the Pacific Northwest boots. And you've got Western boots, but nobody's ever made like a true heritage boot that has like Western elements into it, dress elements into it, and is centered around comfort. Because you can see how much different this last looks, and it feels completely different. So what is in this last? Spoiler alert. What's in this box? Bet you can't guess. Let's unbox it and I'll tell you. These showed up and I was like, I can't believe Thursday sent those to me, because like a lot of brands are very protective of all their intellectual property, and like they don't want anyone to have anything. And these showed up, like the straight up last that Thursday uses. So this is their regular Thursday Captain last, okay? And this, the undeniable last, because that word is so poignant and so accurate to what we try to do. Nolan decided to name the last the undeniable last. Kind of fun, right? So now you can really see the difference between a Munson last and the regular Thursday last. Completely different. You know, this is more of like your true work heritage, like really anatomical. It's almost like more anatomical than most boots, but it's very similar to like a Red Wing style last. Thursday, super pointy, a little more narrow. You can see it's not really not that narrow at the ball of your foot. It just tapers more at the toes. So then how does the undeniable last look? Right in the middle. And it's easier to see in person the differences, but you can see how close these actually are. They're both a 10D, but you can see the extra width through here. You can see that extra height of the toe. You can see just a little bit of extra volume up through here. But see what I mean? Like these look very different, top down. But then you look at the last that they're built on, and they barely look any different. But the way they manifest in the actual footwear is very different. And that was part of the last design too, is like we wanted a last that wasn't just like comfortable for everyday wear, but was actually like a good all-around last that you can do basically anything in it. Because we wanted to, you know, it's like the whole concept is like an undeniably versatile last, because you can literally wear these, dress them up, go to the symphony. You can wear these kind of Western style if you want. You can wear them very heritage style. Not that you would want to go hiking with this outsole, but I clearly, here's some of the footage. I've hiked in these a ton. And it's not a hiking outsole, but they're rugged enough, they're durable enough that you can hike in them without them completely falling apart like half the other like more affordable boots. But I wanted it to be like, I didn't want it to be like, it's a pain to hike in these, or it's a pain to do anything even look nice in these. And so that's where all the elements of this last came to fruition and ultimately made a completely unique last. There's no other last that looks even remotely close to this. And I can kind of gush about it because like I only had so much say. Like a lot of this was the R&D and like the prototyping done in Thursday's factories and in their HQ, you know. And I just I think we've done something really unique. So let's look at the other pairs. Woo! So rather than like kind of green olivey hues, you got a lot more red hues in this leather. Okay, these two are some leather that I've never had from Thursday. We've never reviewed it from Thursday, and it's a really interesting leather. Oh, it's not. It's a different leather. I like this leather too, though. Out of these three leathers, I think I like this one the most. I think that's my favorite leather from this lineup of Thursdays. A little bit lighter, kind of orangey hues, like kind of like orange, yellow hues. This has more red, and this has little shades of like olivey green in it. Okay, final pair. There's the leather I was telling you about, or wanted to tell you about. This leather's crazy. I'd never seen it until one of the batches of prototypes came through, and this is a very, very soft, supple leather that holds a very even, like, temper through the thickness of the leather. Because, you know, really soft leather can get really foamy and it, like, kind of, like, separates from itself. This feels like a tumbled leather, but looks like an untumbled leather. It has kind of like the softness of a tempered leather, or of a tumbled leather, but it doesn't have, like, the foaminess. It's still more, like, kind of squishy compared to this other leather, but this leather is really unique. And I don't want to go too deep into it because maybe we'll cover it in the main video. Maybe we won't. Maybe we'll cover it in another video. But don't sleep on this leather. This is like, once again, Thursday pulled something off that I don't think anyone else has with this leather, because it's like it's cool. It's like really soft, supple leather that doesn't look soft and supple. It looks very professional. Okay, should we rank them? And I already tried them on, and I already have the sizing figured out. So stay tuned for the sizing video that's going to come through that sign up for the release of these that's linked below. But basically you go true to Thursday, your regular Thursday sizing, which is basically true to Brannock. If you want like a little bit tighter, more narrow fit, it's going to cram your, at least for me, like just put a little pressure on my toes. I went down half a size from Brannock. So I'm a 10 on the Brannock. I went down to a 9.5, and it's right on the edge for me. And I've got pretty narrow feet. So I think most people are gonna be just fine going true to their Brannock size. If you're a 10, get a 10. Or going true to their regular Thursday size. If you get 10s in Thursday, get a 10 in these. So how do I rank these? I'm gonna go here, because I like the look of this leather the most. Then to this one, because I like this leather. If you have a pair of these, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's a very well done leather. Yeah. And then I probably go here and then here. I'll probably do this actually. There's some other shades of this I like more. So that's it. That's the unboxing. I think the next thing you'll probably watch is either the cut in half video or like no, it's probably a cut in half video. Because in that video, we're gonna try to prove that these really are undeniably affordable, undeniably quality for the price, undeniably durable for the price, to really prove that like we made an undeniable boot through and through. But we don't know yet. Nobody's proved us wrong because we haven't posted the video. So we'll see how undeniable this actually turned out in that video and off the feedback, because you already know people are gonna come after this and they're gonna try to go after it. And that's the fun of it. So thank you guys for your support. Thank you guys for being willing to watch these unboxings and support this channel and let me gush about the fun sides of what I like about the footwear industry, kind of expose you guys to some of the back end stuff and show you how things work, why it works, and really try to work with some of these brands to make something that's never been done before, because that's what we do best with the collaborations, is really pushing these brands. So I'm grateful that Thursday let us push them, and that they're still letting us push them, and they're willing to do this, because it's, you know, they don't need a collaboration from us. Like they're huge, but they're very generous and being willing to do this project with us. But honestly, I think it's because Nolan's he's like me. He's obsessed with quality. He's obsessed with design. He's obsessed with the process. And when you find that kindred spirit in somebody, you're just like, we have to work together. Let's do something fun. Like, you get it. Let's do something fun. And that's what this is. It's a huge passion project. And it's you know, we just passed the 1 million subscriber mark. We've got all the big announcements coming up pretty soon. That we've maybe already announced a couple of them. And all of the support of you guys and these brands are what's making this year possible. And all that is what's really gonna help us this year truly become the #1 resource in the entire world for footwear information and education. Maybe entertainment too, we'll see. So thank you guys, see you later.